Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Erica, and today we're going to be talking about the little something that I woke up with this morning, and that's this one. This one right here. So it's a pretty big pimple for my breakouts and like what I've been receiving for the past few months, and it's definitely the time of the month. So thank you, Mother Nature. I very much appreciate you coming to visit. So it is pretty noticeable. Not too noticeable on camera, I'd say, but definitely in person. It is red, it is irritated. I have resisted multiple urges to tear it open. I know that a lot of you can sympathize and have probably yourselves picked pimples before. It shouldn't be done. So I am trying so hard with this pimple not to pick it. I've thrown on multiple acne stickers and patches and been trying to deal with it for like the time being, but definitely, I thought I'd hop on today and sort of go over how I deal with spot concealing and how I spot conceal pimples. On an average day-to-day basis, I don't wear a full face of makeup. I don't like to wear heavy foundations or anything like that. So I thought it'd be cool to show you guys how I actually conceal my acne whenever it sprouts up here and there. So that's what we're gonna get into, and I'm gonna show you my tips and tricks on concealing and spot concealing acne. I'm gonna start off this routine the way I always start off my makeup routines, and that is with a properly moisturized base. It is so important because you're drying out your pimples with acne stickers or acne medication or any sort of spot treatments. It is so important to make sure that you really go in and moisturize. So I just got back from the gym, so I've actually already moisturized coming out of the shower, and I've already put my sunscreen on. So the sunscreen that I'm using right now is Juice Beauty. This is a SPF 30 oil-free moisturizer. So if you guys want an in-depth sunscreen related video, please hit that like button, and when I get a certain amount of likes, I'll know that you guys are all interested, and I'll definitely get on that. But definitely hit the like button or comment down below if you'd like to see a sunscreen video, because I can go in super depth about sunscreen and my opinion and why I only use mineral sunscreen. So I have this sunscreen on my face already as my base, and I have put my moisturizer on. I am super hydrated. My face is nice and ready for any sort of makeup that I'm going to put on. Basically, I know how to deal with my acne. I've had acne for so long that I know what works for my skin, what doesn't work for my skin, and how to properly conceal it. And that's why I want to share what I know for you guys if you're beginners out there, or if you've just are new to wanting to conceal your acne spots, if it's for an event or if it's for just an everyday sort of wear, if you have noticeably red acne. And again, I'm not saying acne is bad, I'm not saying you need to cover it all the time, just my personal preference, I like to have it covered so I'm not tempted to pick at it. So my biggest tip for spot concealing is to get a color that matches your skin almost perfectly. And I know that's not easy for everyone, but hopefully with the new shade ranges and the new options that we have nowadays, thanks to the great companies that are expanding their ranges, you have a concealer that will match you near perfectly. And for me, I really like the NARS. This is the, what is it called again? It's like the Radiant Creamy Concealer, and my color is vanilla. So that doesn't say a lot about my skin tone, then I don't know what does. But basically, you want to go in with something that matches you completely. And on an average summer day, I'm not wearing a skin tint, I'm not wearing heavy makeup. I just want to go in and sort of conceal maybe my under eyes, put on some mascara, and conceal any pimples that I have on my face. So I'm going to go in, and basically what I do is with a nice hydrated base, I go right in and I put the concealer right on. So I hope this stays in focus for the most part, but basically you can see how red and irritated the pimple is. It is not happy, it does not want to be on my face, as I don't want it to be on my face, but we're going to sort of tone down the redness a little bit. So basically, when you go in with your concealer stick, you're going to put it, I'm gonna stop talking for a second and I'm just gonna show you what I'm doing, but you're going to put it onto the pimple, and you could just kind of let it sit there for a little bit. And then normally I like to go in with a sponge and then sort of buff it out to remove any of the harsh edges. So now I'm going to blend out any of the edges and just sort of figure out what base I'm working with. So again, the pressure on the actual pimple does hurt. It is a very painful pimple. I'm not very much a fan of that feeling, but already you can see how much it's been toned down. I want to sort of layer it based on your comfort of the redness of your pimple. So I'm gonna go in again with a little bit more, but this time I'm going to go in with a makeup brush. So normally you want to take something that's fairly thin. So here, let's see if I can focus on the brush. So something that's very thin. It is more of a dense brush, so I can work very easily with this. And then you want to take some off of your concealer and put it onto the brush. You can put it to the back of your hand as long as your hands are clean, and sort of just put all the bristles together. And then here, this way, you can work at the edges of the pimple that might be still shining through. So basically, you're going to work any of the edges and just sort of press the product in. I find that some angles with some pimples work better than others. So you just need to find which angles work. And the important thing is to sort of diffuse the edges. You want to make sure that there are no harsh edges so you don't see just like a circle around the pimple. And again, in areas that may be a little bit red also, which I have some redness on my chin, you want to go in and sort of conceal to match. So I would go in and just put a dot or two over here and just sort of blend out that area so that you can help conceal the entire area a little bit better. So let me just get my mirror so I can see. So here you want to sort of just conceal the area. And again, because it's on my chin, you want to sort of go in and make sure you're getting the entire area. So already it's looking a lot better. I would say it's looking a lot less red, it's a lot less angry. So now I usually get into some sort of powder, and I have always been a very big fan of Innisfree and their No Sebum Moisture Powder. So basically this is a powder that removes any sebum, so any of the oil that's produced on your face, and it just sort of calms everything down. So we are going to put a little bit on. So sometimes I use the pad directly. Again, I clean this pad very, very often. This is only from one use yesterday. So this is pretty much always clean, but you can just go in with a little bit. And normally I like to pat it on. This one's a colored powder. And just like that, it removes the oils. So again, it is not standing out as much. See how already you cannot notice it as much? It is not as clearly visible on my face as it was at the beginning of the video. So again, I'm going to show you a little zoom in of what that actually looks like. So again, because this is a textured pimple, it is a bumpy pimple, you can still see it from the side, but as far as redness, it has been drastically reduced, and I feel like it is almost not noticeable. When you're talking to somebody, you normally look at them in the eyes, and as long as they're not intense redness, you won't notice the other spots as much on the face. So now if we look at this one over here, this one is more of a scabby pimple. So I would take my brush again, and since it is so small and easier to work with, I would just sort of go in with a brush and sort of space that out over there, get rid of any redness in the area, and then you can go in with your sponge and just sort of press. Okay, you don't want to rub, you don't want to use any circular motions, just to press, and see how already it has toned it down a lot. And I often sweat a lot on my nose, so when I do any concealing on my nose, I like to powder it down and just make sure that it's not oily, right? And again, any spots that I feel I do sweat more. So already you can see how nice and concealed it is. It is not red anymore. So that is it. I know it was a super short and simple video, but there really isn't that much to it. As always, I love reading your comments down below, so please comment and we can chat there. If you haven't already, hit that like button. And if you want to see that video about sunscreen, also hit that like button so I know that all the likes are towards the sunscreen video in the future. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe